Good morning everyone, my name is Christian from Two-Headed Wolf Gaming and welcome to Feudal Alloy, our game of the weekend. It is Sunday, so this is our second episode while playing this wonderful platform game. Let me quickly set up. We will be playing for 1 hour and I just need an alarm to make sure that I don't go too much over time. There we have it. So I hope you had a wonderful weekend. The weather is awful here, so there's not much to do, just sit inside the house and wait for the rain to pass away. I don't remember too much about where we are in this game, but we'll be figuring it out as we go along. Well, apparently we have some traps on hand. So I thought about what would I be talking about today, because yesterday I had a bit of a ramble with YouTube, with whatever I've learned so far about it, and I'm not really great at explaining everything. But there you have it. And today I actually remember that this week one of my friends, a good old friend, sent me this week. There's like a picture, like a meme, and on top there are two Romanian writers, one somehow encouraging the other. They were friends in history, and one was writing something on a piece of paper, and when you look at the piece of paper you see Mortal Kombat combinations, and starting from that point there's a list with how to perform fatalities. If you don't know what fatalities or Mortal Kombat is, it's a fighting game, and basically at the end there was a moment when the game said finish him. So you had these button combinations which would do cool end of the battle moves, right, to defeat your opponent. A really cool concept, especially for you know, young guys, teenagers, and anybody who's into fighting games. Let's see, let's stay with this one. So yeah, that reminded me, and I thought, you know what, maybe I should be talking about my experience with video games, how I got into them and all that, because it might be quite an interesting topic. Now, if I have to talk about consoles and things like that, the first console that I ever owned, and basically that was quite spread out in Romania, was this console called a ramble console. Now that's, you know, I wanted to find a place to gather some information from, just so I can share it with you guys. But this console is so old, it doesn't even have a Wikipedia page or anything. And you know, Wikipedia, the most incredible source of information. So yeah, I wouldn't put too much you know, expectations on it, but you know, I thought I would find at least something that would that I could show you guys. But if you look up like Rambo console, you will find it. You will find pictures of it, and this probably was only sold in darn it, that's oh, that worked. Okay, how do I get up there? Let's try it. For some reason I can't reach. Oh, I could. Great. So yeah, this was a console that you would hook up to your TV, and it had some base game on it. It had a cartridge case, but I do not know of any game that worked on it. So I'm not sure if they were even widespread or not. I was pretty young back then, so all of this information is kind of vague in my head. But it had quite a few games on it already without having to buy anything else. And it had 2 joysticks that would break all the time, especially as you got mad at it. So okay, we've managed to gain 1 more time here. So that had a bunch of games that were quite fun to play. One of the first, I know it had one with the 3 little pigs, and you were a pig at the top, and you had to keep throwing bricks, like make a wall at the bottom, and at the bottom there was the wolf, and you had to and the wolf had to break those bricks by, I don't know, he was shooting with fire or something. I can't fully remember what that was about. But yeah, so that was the first console I ever had, and yeah, it was pretty cool at the time, especially as a young man. Computers weren't really a thing back then here in Romania. But then there was another console. I mentioned it yesterday, and someone mentioned it in the console in the comment section, that I said that in Romania we had Terminator and things like that. I put an annotation out. So yeah, that was pretty... that didn't came out the way I wanted to. Great coffee. But yeah, there was this console, the second one. And by the way, everything that I'm talking about here, unless you lived in Western Europe, not in Western, in Eastern Europe, you probably never heard of it. The next console that came out was one that was called Terminator. I actually looked it up, once again, I looked it up on Wikipedia to see if there's anything there, and actually this one does have a wiki page. It was produced, let me just read it off, because I didn't know this stuff until I looked it out today. It was produced by Ending Man, and this was sold in the Czech Republic, Slovakia, Poland, Serbia, Croatia, Bulgaria, Romania, Bosnia and Herzegovina, Albania, Montenegro, India, Kenya and Hungary. It was also sold in Italy as Top Console. It is a hardware clone of the Nintendo Famicom. But yeah, it was produced in 1992. It was reintroduced in late 2019. I don't know where they produced this, but yeah, there you have it. So, and it was discontinued around 2014 to 2016, which is it's mind-boggling to me. Like, I can't believe that this console stayed around for this long. But I guess there are different countries that, you know, where computer is not you know, the norm. So yeah, and well, this one had, once again, they had cartridges. You would buy them from the market. We had it was like the people who sold the cartridges and the games weren't really what it's not what you would expect, especially if you lived in Western Europe or the US or one of these countries that lived under democracy for a longer time, right? That didn't have communism or anything like that. You might not expect too much here, but the games were sold in a normal market. So like there is this market, there still is, but it changed a bit, where you would have all kinds of shops, right? You would have people selling clothes, you had people selling electronics, you had people selling shoes, and near their shoes they would have game cartridges for your consoles. And these cartridges always looked amazing. Like, it would show you Turtle Ninja, for example. Unfortunately, that was a game that you would find on your console. My friend Alex, he had this Turtle Ninja. There was the Turtle Ninja fighting game. This game was the luxury. Like, normally you would see a picture of Turtle Ninja, and when you went home with the cartridge, it was the same 3 games with Mario. There was Mario. Mario was the basic game on everything. There was Battle Tanks, and I don't know, there were a few more games like Duck Hunt or things like that that you would find on most of the cartridges, probably counterfeited and you know. But what can you expect? And some of the good vendors, if you would find a really cool one, they would let you exchange the cartridge for one that maybe you didn't have, or you know, you try a few out until you... there's another entrance there at the bottom. There are a few more entrances around there. Let's try to explore the bottom left. Let's see how could I reach that side. Maybe through here? I'm trying to... I think there was an empty spot somewhere through here. Come on. Is there some sort of a ladder here? Oh, yeah, something like that. There's just some gold here. So yeah, those vendors would let you exchange your cartridges if the game wasn't what you expected. But not everybody did that, so you went home and you had mostly copies of the same game. But there were a few cool ones. You can find them on emulators today, like Godzilla was one game that... a strategy game where you had different maps and there were different monsters from the Godzilla universe, like Mothra. I don't know if they are that well known, especially if you don't know too much about the universe. Let's see, can we go through here? Yep. But we've been around here. Oh, we're not exactly where I thought we were. There's nothing here. Yeah, I'm trying to concentrate a little bit here. Yeah, and that Godzilla game you had different monsters spawning from the map, and you would have tanks and airplanes that you would take out of different kinds of bases, and you had objectives. So it's quite an amazing strategy game, especially for the time, especially for a console like that. Like, I think that game would stand even nowadays for, you know, for people who are a bit more open-minded about the quality. Yeah, I couldn't find anything there. I think I have to return a bit more than I have at this point. We'll see. Yeah, so that was a pretty cool console game. Very impressive at the time. I would spend hours upon hours just playing. Like at this point, I know that I played some games so much, like I played that game so much that I would have headaches. Of course, I wouldn't actually say it at the time that I'm getting headaches from it. Wouldn't want my parents to take away the cables, right? So we wouldn't play on the console anymore. But yeah, that was a pretty good console for the time, as you can imagine. But then, you know, computers started to come around, and we used to have this computer, what would you call it? In sort of an internet cafe. I'm not sure what people actually used it for. Like, we as kids went there to play games, and the first one that I can remember was a place called, let me see, look it up, because Alec, my friend, actually, we talked about it this week just a little bit. InfoStar, it was called. So this place had a bunch of computers, and you would go to this I will call them internet cafes. I don't even know if they had internet back then, but mostly because I think the quality of the internet at the time was only through dial-up. You know, that type of connection that would stop your phone from being used. Like, you couldn't use the phone at the same time as using your internet. And the operating system that they had was MS-DOS. And the game on the MS-DOS, as you could probably imagine, weren't as impressive as as you might imagine. Did I say that you can imagine that the games on MS-DOS wouldn't be as impressive as you could imagine? Yeah, well, playing and thinking at the same time, pretty difficult. But yeah, most of the games were pretty boring. Like, and we would still play them, don't get us wrong. Like, I was playing Mickey Mouse. There was a Mickey Mouse game. Where you would start, Mickey Mouse is in bed, and you would write, you know, I don't know, something like wake up, and he would wake up, and you would write wash, and he would go to the bathroom and wash, and you know, it was a dumb game all in all. I'm thinking, if I throw a firebomb at this robot, does it work? No, it does not break the ice. Okay. But some of the cooler games were Warcraft 2, which was really cool as a strategy game at the time. That was really fun to play. There was also Mortal Kombat, like this. I'm not sure what Mortal Kombat it would be, like what is the number in the series. But we would go and play that game a whole lot. And mostly we would go every week, we would gather money, or we would don't know, as from our parents, I can't fully remember everything we did. But every week almost we would go there and we would play, we would do the same thing. We would play Mortal Kombat and just work on doing fatalities and whatever it was needed in this button mashing game to make some of these combinations happen. And my friend Alex, he had a notebook for each character in Mortal Kombat, and he had what combination of buttons to press for what. That was so well organized for for a computer game. Like, it makes me laugh thinking about it. You know, that was the time. That was pretty entertaining for us to do that every week. So, rats. Let's see, where are we now? We're not that far, so I think we'll be fine. Man, I love coffee, I have to say. Having coffee, playing this platform game and remembering the good old times, as I could call it, is something else. But yeah, that was at some point, like, this computer room got a Windows installed on it. It probably had Windows installed before as well, but we didn't know. We just knew the MS-DOS. And by the way, in order to go into games, like, you had to write like C dot slash, and you had to go from folder to folder, right, in order to find those games. And on the papers you would find the codes for the different games that were installed. So that was an indirect way of learning how to use MS-DOS. Like, I even remember to this day, and it's mostly because of that, because computer classes weren't really something that was taught in school at the time. So I've gained most of my knowledge from video games, from going to these computer rooms and play with my friends. But then they installed Windows at some point, and I know they installed I think StarCraft 2. I think so. I think that was one of the games that I used to go and play back then. Let's see. No, I took the wrong way, right? Yep. Well, let's see. Maybe we can go through here and get to the same place. Yeah, hopefully. Okay, not through here. We need to go even lower. And I need to do it by this elevator, right? So yeah, that was one computer room that we used to go to. I think it's probably somewhere around this time that my friend Alex got himself a computer. But that's a whole different discussion, because it would take... I think that's for a discussion for another day. Maybe I'll even bring him in one of these videos. We definitely need to play Cuphead together, Alex, if you're listening to this. So maybe we can talk about the games of the time back in one of those videos. Do a collab, right? But then there was a different computer, one of these city nets or intranets or however they were called at the time. My brother told me about this computer room that had they had Windows installed. It was newer, definitely newer. The computers were definitely stronger, if I remember them properly. And it had games like Worms. I know I went with, the first time I went there with my friend Alex, and we played Soldier of Fortune. I think Soldier of Fortune 1, I don't think it was the second game. And that introduced us into the world of shooters and gore, and you know, that game was violent, which was perfect for for a couple of teenagers. I don't know, as far as violent game teaching young people to be violent, as far as that theory goes, I do not agree with it. Let's put it simply like that. I find it a stupid argument to say that violent video games actually make you violent. There was nothing about those games that made me want to, I don't know, punch someone in the face more than someone being annoying and wanting to do that either way. So it was definitely not the video games that created reality. Plus, people were violent before video games also. Kids were violent before video games too. So yeah, but let's leave that topic aside for a different time. So yeah, there was Soldier of Fortune. There was Midtown Madness. There was this game where you drove a car, and they had the Volkswagen Beetle. I know we played with that a lot, but you could pick a bus as well, and there were a few other cars, and you drive throughout the city. Of course, I think in a way the game was programmed in such a way to somehow drive properly. But it did have races and a few other things. So yeah, that was pretty fun to play. It was definitely a different game than one we've experienced at the time. I think it did have a day and night cycle, which games later sold as this amazing feature. What else? What other games did we play? Yeah, Worms was really cool. And right now I can't remember any others that filled our days. There was definitely a few more, like I remember Shogun being one of the games I played for the first time, the Shogun Total War. There was Age of Empires. So yeah, there were quite a few games also that turned into these classic games. As far as shooter goes, Quake 3. That was one of the games that we went with like a group of friends, and we kept playing Quake 3 a lot. And then I think that's how we spent a few years. It's how we discovered the internet. There was an email address, like we made email addresses at the time. I think my first email address was called Raven the Penguin. It's like the audacity. I know I loved ravens for some reason. I think it's because I was into rock music and somehow that felt cool. And penguins seem like cool animals, so yeah. Let's not judge too much what I called myself back there, right? But there you have it. And there was also this webpage called Hattrick. It was an online football managers. So you would create your own team, and we have an upgrade. Let's take a quick break while we take a look at upgrades. A slightly better cooling system could do pretty well. Increase your oil tank capacity or add more power to our pistons. I think at this point... Yeah, let's go for health. Gives you the ability to parry incoming attacks. Might actually be good. So yeah, we spend a whole lot of time just playing those games, visiting that city net. I remember going to the countryside somewhere around this time, and when I came back there was actually Warcraft 3 installed. It was very new and I love playing it. There are other games that I've discovered during this time, like at the countryside where my grandparents lived. I had a cousin, he had a computer, and some of the games that he had were Pharaoh, which is a city builder game. If you've never played it, it's actually quite cool. It still stands today, they're doing a remake of it. And yeah, I used to go around and hope that he's going to be playing that day, because that game was something else. And he also had Sudden Strike, which was like a World War II strategy game. Something that now when I look back, I think that this one feature that this game had is that all the troops spoke in their own language. So Russian troops would speak Russian, German troops would speak German. Like at the time, I didn't think that this was a feature that would really be hard to find, right, in modern games. But there you have it. Like, I understand that it's quite expensive to have that. However, it would have been quite cool. This looks like a boss fight. Doesn't this look like a boss fight? Do we want to engage this boss? Let's take a look at the map. Oh, we don't have a map for this place. Let's give it at least one go. Ah, no, this is one of those challenges with fighting multiple monsters, right, at the same time. Ah, that was an unnecessary hit there. Yeah. I think we need a tiny bit more power there. Maybe we can find a save point somewhere at the bottom. We'll go right this time, instead of going to this battle. So yeah, I used to look forward to actually going to the countryside so I can see more of that game. And yeah, one year when I came back I found Warcraft 3, which was a pretty cool game. And I think soon after that, man, we really need to be paying more attention here, because we're taking a whole lot of damage. But let's get at least the experience. And soon after that there was a different internet cafe that opened. I think at this point they were called internet cafes, and social applications started to appear, like Mirk, which I don't want to talk about right now. But as far as games go, there was... I remember the first game I ever tried in that internet cafe was Diablo 2. I'm not sure if this is before Alex got it on his computer. I'm not sure if I saw it at him the first time or at the computer, at the internet cafe. But Diablo 2, you probably know it. If you don't know it, just look it up, install it and play it. Because even today it stands as a pretty good game. Story-wise... Oh, there we have a save point. And nothing else. Okay. It still stands today. My friend Alex had this Diablo 2 game, and I used to go over to his place and play it. Yeah, I don't know how to, like, I don't remember too much the feeling of actually seeing that game for the first time, but I have a vague somehow memory of it, and it's hard to explain. Like nowadays when games are so widespread and there are a bunch of games in every genre, it's hard to explain the feeling of discovering a game like that for the first time. But yeah, that was awesome. And so the internet cafe had Diablo 2, and you could play with some of the people in that internet cafe over LAN. And there was also around this time that we discovered Counter-Strike, I think. Now, just so you know, I might be making a bit of a mistake. Maybe I'm not remembering the order right, but I was quite young at the time, so let's not... It's 11:56. Okay, we still have time. It's been a long time since back then, so I might not remember some of these things in the right order. But we've discovered Counter-Strike, and that is definitely one of those games that we spend a whole lot of time going to the internet cafe with friends and playing it ourselves. And you know, Counter-Strike, everybody knows about it. It has been a craze that it's been around for a long time. Now the second Counter-Strike is out, and or has been for a few years now, and it doesn't have too much of an upgrade over what initially was Counter-Strike as a game. So yeah, I don't know what to say about it more than imagine a world where computers are not really a thing and video games are not really a thing, and then bring a bunch of kids the chance to play these games themselves, and yeah, you have yourself a bit of a business. But yeah, those games were quite cool. They've inspired us to invent some games ourselves. Like we created from Quake being a shooter game, right? A platform shooter game. Not a platform shooter game. What I'm thinking of is that you would have these maps where you would jump, you would have some platforms that you would jump on that would throw you the other way. So it did take quite a bit of skill. In some of the maps you could fall through the space and actually die, and so that required a lot of skill for you to not miss these platforms. Amazing. I just love coffee, and today's coffee tastes so much better. Remembering about the good old times, I feel like a pensioner or something. Yeah, so we invented these games. We were inspired by Quake, and we invented Snowquake. You found a dash module. It adds the ability to perform a short dash. Not with that one. No, with this one. Okay. Snowquake was basically, you would make snowballs, you would run around the neighborhood, and you would shoot at each other and jump in the snow and trying to dodge and things like that. It's... yeah, let's stay with this one. Yeah, there's not a whole lot to be said about it. It was fun. It was quite fun. and playing other games. Oh, we need to use this one here, right? Yep. And it does seem to be heating up our system, so we have to be careful when we do this. Yeah, well, without the ums. I'm trying to correct myself to stop doing ums. But sometimes it feels slightly uncomfortable to not say anything, right? I think we need to jump and dash here, right? It's another one of these like tutorials. Cool, cool. Okay, let's see, where does this door lead to? Oh, back here, okay. Let's check where did this door lead to. Oh, back to the save point. We have our entire health bar, so we don't care. Yeah, so it's about that time. I think this is earlier than I think all these stories is actually placed some time earlier than 4th grade. In the 4th grade, I actually got my first computer. I don't know, I probably talked about some of these in other videos, but you know, I'm not sure you watch all the series. It depends on what games you are interested in. You might be more interested in it or not. But yeah, in about, I think in the 4th grade, I received my first computer. I think my brother spoke, I don't know, my brother is older than me, so he and my father went ahead and got a computer. It was, what was it called? I think it was an AMD processor. At the time we had some really simple platforms like the computers, not platforms. They were quite weak at the time. Like the big idea is that you need a Pentium computer, so everybody was like, so do you have a Pentium? Oh, you have a computer? What Pentium is it? And if it wasn't Pentium, then you weren't cool or something, or it wasn't that amazing. Yeah, this sounds very weird at now, but maybe this didn't totally disappear. Like people, I think people have the same kind of attitude for Apple, right? Having an Apple or an Android. Okay, so we're back here and we need to go... Ooh, now we need to go back up. Yeah, okay. And I still remember when I first heard that we have a computer, like I was at school. And I think I had classes in the afternoon because I remember the sun setting. Now this might be the romanticized version of that story. But I remember seeing them as I was at the school fence, on the school fence, and they said that they got a computer. And I was so excited. I think I had only one class left or something, and then I would go home. So I couldn't wait to just go home and play something. Of course, when I got home, not everything was installed. Games weren't really installed on the computer, so yeah, that doesn't matter too much in the grand scheme of things. It definitely was a new beginning for myself and for my brother too. And yeah, as far as what I played on it, I can't really remember much. I can say that I'll give a shout out to my friend Alex here, because he was the one who introduced me to a whole bunch of games. Like everything that was cool at the time. He wasn't really into strategy games, but he was into fighting games, he was into shooters, he was I don't know, I think he was into mostly everything except for strategy games. And so most of the games, most of the cool games I discovered from him. And I even got from him, I think. Yeah, I can't remember much more. Now that I think about it, because I haven't thought about all of this topic before. Okay, so now we got ourselves a new card that I think goes, yeah, it goes back to the left there, bottom left. So yeah, he showed me a whole bunch of games, and on one of my birthday, like one of the games, he used to bring me a whole lot of games as gifts, right, as birthday gifts. And we got GTA at the time. He brought me 1 year Black and White. Black and White is a god game. I think it's people say that the first God game is Populous, and that is probably true. But Populous I never got around to actually playing Populous. It was not one that we actually got to play. But the next one was Black and White, and that was really cool as a god game. It was 3D. It had magic, it had the magical creature, it had city management, right? Because you had to take care of your people and also construct buildings. So there was a place there that it seems like we haven't visited. Let's put a save point here. I'm not fully sure through which area I have to go in order to reach that door, but we'll try to go and discover it. Yeah, so we got around to that. Now that I think about it, looking back, I forgot to mention like arcades. I think it's mostly because I thought about computers. But yeah, we had a few places where they had arcade games, where Street Fighter was one of the games that we would play. There was a football game, a FIFA. I don't know exactly what number it was, if it even had a number. Maybe it wasn't even FIFA. I can't fully remember. Let's see, are we going the right way? No, we're going totally the other way. Okay, let's get back. And we used to create championships in the neighborhood, like all the kids. We had a point system. So yeah, we would go to that arcade, we would play a match and then you would qualify to go further. Games weren't as complex as they are today, so most of the systems had to be created by us, in a way of speaking. Of course, that's not totally true, but you know, it's how we created our entertainment when there wasn't a whole lot in place. I think this is one of those things. Maybe that's one of the reasons why I don't know, we've developed this love for games, why I feel that nowadays I can handle learning like new apps, and even at work, like it feels pretty easy for me to pick up on a different kind of app, even if it's not pretty well explained. And yeah, you know, as far as I'm concerned, and this is my personal opinion, there are people who have no idea how to manage a new app, how to understand it, how to do a bit of troubleshooting on it, and hey, that's fortunately for us today, right? You have apps made so easy that everybody can use it, or most people can use it, and that is pretty good. Yeah. Well, that wasn't great, but there's a save point here somewhere to get our health back. Let's see before we move on. Yeah, somewhere through here, but let's drink a health potion and see if there's anything else to be found on this side. Doesn't really look like it. I have to find a way to open that bottom left door, and maybe is that system maybe in the top left? No, I don't think so. Okay. Well, I'll go through here one more time. Ah, rats. Yeah, I think this is the general experience of most of the 90s kids that lived here in Romania. Like it's now we're in 2020, so there's been like 2 more generations after us. Yeah, that I don't know if they can relate to what we had at the time and what we enjoyed. But it was a very fun journey for me. Like I really, when I look back on it, I feel very lucky that I lived during these times. And today I can enjoy such cool games. Like, it's amazing what people can do nowadays. Even small studios can bring in some awesome games. Yeah. And it was really fun to have a computer at home. I used to love even watching my brother play. So of course we would when we were young, we would fight over the console, like who to play, right? Sometimes we were able to play together, having 2 joysticks, but most of the time those would break pretty easily. As I said, especially when you were angry. My dad used to fix them a whole lot. But even so, yeah, we fought over the TV, over the remote, we fought over the console. And then even when we had a computer, like, I used to love playing, okay? So it didn't matter to me if I was playing or if my brother was playing, and if my brother was playing, I would sit and watch him play, and that was okay for me. The problem I had with my brother is that he also dabbled with apps, right, and Windows and everything else. So every once in a while he would do something that would break the computer, and then he would have to fix it and watch someone fix a computer in MS-DOS and wait for Windows to install and things like that. You can imagine how annoying that was. But yeah, well, so yeah, we had a lot of fun. There were a whole bunch of games that we could play together, and we enjoyed. It was quite nice. Okay. I'm not sure what I should be doing. There's a button there, so there's probably another battle. Should I be going by this elevator or should I be going through here? Yeah, so here is... like, this door apparently opens and closes when I press the button. Oh, not anymore. If I have to think about like what games I enjoyed the most, I think it's going to be too big of a list. Like, it's very difficult to think right now, because maybe one of the reasons I've started this channel is because I enjoy all kinds of games. So this just brings us back to where we started. Okay, well, let's go down the elevator. One of the reasons I started this channel is because I do enjoy games, a whole bunch of games. Not just what you would consider, I don't know, the coolest or things like that. I believe that there are many games that get left out because, I don't know, they don't have the best production or they're not as polished. So my standards as far as games go, I think are not necessarily the best ones to... I mean, I can't really make a list because I enjoyed most of the games, and I've been a pretty patient person. When we had internet, I used to wait for online games to download for an entire night, right, even longer, and then they would work really poorly. Like, it would lag so much, but since I wanted to play the game, I used to play with it lagging, even, you know, making a step, waiting 2 seconds, making another step, waiting 2 seconds. I used to play games like that. So I became quite a patient person by that standard. But on games that really made an impact, definitely I would say that I definitely love Diablo. Diablo 2, that will definitely make my list any day. On, let's see, armor and armor or armor and damage. I think armor and armor would keep us safer. Okay, go to the left. So Diablo is definitely one of the games that I would put on my list. I think Age of Empires, Pharaoh, those were two games that I loved. I would say I wasn't really, and I'm not even today, too much into shooters. So games like Counter-Strike, although it had quite a big impact in my life on, historically speaking, right, because I went and played with my friends, that would make it on my list, although not 100%, I would say. At least not for me. Yeah. And I'm sure I'm missing a whole bunch of games from this list. But you know, maybe one day I can bring my friend Alex and we can do a bit of a collab. We can play together one of these platform games and we can talk about it. I'm sure we will be able to remember more games. He definitely does. So yeah, we'll go from there and see what else we can discover from my history. What about you? Like, you know, I do enjoy interacting with you guys. And I know some of you are younger and haven't lived in the 90s at this point. So yeah, my question to you is, what kind of games are you do you love? You think actually made an impact on you? And if you did live in the 90s, same question for you guys. What do you think? What was one of the best games that you played at the time? That you would, maybe that's something that you would even play these days. If they ever do a remake, or maybe even if they don't do a remake, at some point I might want to play once again Diablo 2. Maybe? I don't know. I mean, it's one of those ideas that sounds good on paper, but in reality might not actually be that impressive. But yeah, I hope you enjoyed this weekend rant and Feudal Alloy. It's quite a nice game, as you can see. You can play by yourself, you can have a chat with friends while doing it, you can do a whole lot of things during this time, so it's not necessarily a difficult game and it's quite fun. This is my idea for the weekend. Every weekend we will do a different game. If you do enjoy, however, if you do enjoy one of these games that you see me play, even if I don't plan on doing a series on most of the weekend games, let me know. If there are people who want to see me play, who want to see the game for longer than this, I will take it into consideration to do a series on it. So just so you know, I am very open to expanding this if this is what you want to see. For the moment, I thank you very much for watching. I thank you very much for the support. I hope you have a beautiful Sunday going on, and I'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful day, everyone.